Valentine Day is coming soon, and instead of overthinking it, I decided to do something small and playful. I thought I can make myself flowers. So today I'm painting, drawing, stitching, and turn that idea into a journal page. If you'd like to slow down and craft along, let's start together. Hello, my crafty friend. Today I am making myself flowers. There's that line from the Miley Cyrus song Flowers that's been sitting with me, and it feels like a gentle nudge for today's video. I sang to myself, I can make myself flowers. And I guess you didn't expect me singing here with my little crooked voice, but that's where I am today. So I decided I'm using a little bit of mixed media paper, glued it down or fixated it with a little bit of washi tape. Use my little nifty tool here. It's a little watercolor pen where you can put water in, and I'm just drawing some circles here just to have different areas of my paper in different wetnesses. So I'm also using a little bit of water to liven up or enliven my watercolors. I start layering down like washes of pink and purple and little red maybe. And I'm already aware that this page is setting a mood. Not a message yet, like not words or just a feeling. I'm choosing these colors very intentionally. They're not subtle, they are not neutral, which I usually or often have in my junk journal planner, but they are colors I think they just want to be felt, and today for me it's pink and purple and red. My inner little girl has always loved them, and over the years I've learned to trust that kind of preference. Not everything we choose has to be explained or justified. Sometimes it's enough to notice what draws us in and follow that. So as the paint here hits the paper, I notice I slow right down, put some water on it, and it spreads even further. I love seeing how adding a little bit of water is pushing the color around, and just accidentally patterns emerge. I let it spread, like instead of trying to direct it. And there's a quiet lesson in that for me. How often we rush to shape things before they've had a chance to move on their own. This part of the process asked me to be patient and playful. It asked me to watch how this paint just is moving in its own rhythm, in its own liking. So in my work as a psychotherapist, I often think about how difficult it can be for adults to simply let something unfold. We are trained to intervene, to correct, to optimize, but the nervous system softens when it senses that nothing bad will happen if we pause or if we let go a little bit, if we allow things to unfold. And watercolor is very honest like that, I find. You can't force it without consequences. If you push too hard, it will resist. And if you hover too much or turn too much on top of it at each other, it just turns muddy. So I stay with my rhythm of painting, spritzing a little bit of water, waiting and watching to see how it unfolds. And I notice how my breathing changes as I work. It deepens without effort, and my shoulders drop without instructions. This is one of the reasons I keep coming back to practices like this. Not because they are impressive, but because they bring me back into my body, gently and without any demands. And here as the colors bleed into each other, I'm not even aiming for harmony. I'm letting contrast exist. Pink next to red and purple touching both. There's room here for intensity and softness at the same time. I find that hugely reassuring. This page doesn't need to be pretty in a conventional way. It just needs to hold what's coming next. It needs to be like a background, not a performance in itself, not a masterpiece. Sometimes when people talk about self-care, it sounds like another task to get right, another thing to succeed at. But this kind of making reminds me that care can be easy, something we allow, rather than something we achieve. The nervous system doesn't really respond to performance. It responds to tone and pace and permission. And painting like this, in this playful and kind way, gives me all three. So I keep moving the brush, not to fill every space, but to stay connected to the paper, to the present moment, to what my hands are doing. And there's a quiet intimacy in this stage of the page. No one sees it finished yet, which is not quite true because actually you are watching the entire process. But while I'm doing it, it feels just me and the paper. It's like it's nothing to achieve or perform around. It's still forming, still really private. And I think that's part of why it feels so soothing. Nothing is asking for meaning just yet. So when my paper is dry, I move into drawing the flowers with my black Sharpie pen. I saw a video from Natasha from Treasure Books. I will link it in the description below. And I felt so inspired, I thought I'd give it a go. I'm not sketching first. I'm not aiming for symmetry. I'm not correcting lines as I go. Not that I could with my Sharpie. It's water resistant. So I let my hand lead and I trust that it knows what it's doing. And the flowers start to appear one line at a time. In my work as a psychotherapist, I notice how unfamiliar this kind of trust can feel for many adults. We are often taught to monitor ourselves closely, to correct and refine and improve in real time. So moments where we allow ourselves to be a little unedited can feel surprisingly freeing, but at times also a bit scary. So as I add the circles for the center of the flowers, I start playing with scale. Some larger, some smaller, some slightly wonky. I like that these small decisions don't carry much weight. If something feels a bit odd, I let it be odd. It becomes part of the character of the page and it will be part of the character of the flowers. Nothing here needs to be precious. These flowers aren't meant to impress anybody. They are meant to feel alive and playful. And I notice how the page starts to develop its own rhythm. This is one of the reasons I love simple, repetitive crafting. It brings us back into the body through doing, without asking us to explain ourselves or make meaning too quickly. The thinking mind gets to rest on the sideline for a bit while the hands take over. And by the time the last flower is outlined, the page already feels populated and nearly finished. And I think it's time for me to start a little bit of the fussy cutting. I'm moving quite slowly here, but decisively nevertheless. Fussy cutting is one of those parts of the process that doesn't need to be rushed. It's repetitive and a little meditative, and it asks for just enough attention to keep me present. And I notice how my hands already know what to do, like following the line, turning the paper instead of the scissors, letting the shape emerge one curve at a time. And there's something, again, very settling about this kind of focus. Not intense, just steady. And this one of these moments where the doing matters more than the result, like the simple rhythm of cutting and turning and pausing. It gives my mind somewhere gentle to rest. So I keep cutting the rest of the flowers, I think, off camera, so you don't have to watch all of the repetition. And I will meet you again once they are all ready. Okay, I would say nearly half an hour later or so, I watched a YouTube video. I'm done with cutting them all out. And I love the variety of them, the different amount of petals and the different color shades. That is so beautiful. With the non-deliberate background, I find they look so beautiful together. And here I have the different sizes of the middle of the flower. Let me come a little bit closer and let's put them together. Assembling the flowers, the process becomes a little bit more deliberate. Up until now, everything has been quite open, like paint flowing and lines appearing. And now I'm moving into a phase of choosing. So I'm picking here this one flower at a time and see what it wants to become. Like I start with the larger circle for the center. Sometimes it blends in the middle. Sometimes it wants to sit just a little off. And I let myself try a few options before I even start deciding what actually will end up where. This part always reminds me how much information our hands take in. Before anything is glued down, there's this quiet moment of sensing. Does this feel balanced? Does it feel playful? Does it make me smile? And I add like these smaller circles on top, and suddenly the flower has a personality, almost like a face. Some feel bold, some feel gentle, and some feel a bit cheeky, I find. I really enjoy this stage because nothing is fixed yet. I can rearrange, I can change my mind, I can try something and then undo it. In a way, this is where playfulness really comes alive for me. Not in rushing or being careless, but in allowing myself to experiment, like without pressure, just trying out different things. And I often notice, both personally and professionally, how adults forget that play doesn't have to be loud or energetic or so. It can be this quiet crafting playfulness. It can be slow. It can look like moving paper pieces around until something feels just right. So, and as I work my way through the flowers, assembling one by one, I notice how each one becomes its own little moment. I'm not trying to make them match perfectly. I actually like that they don't. There's something very comforting for me about letting each piece be individually related but not identical, connected but with their own character. And once I'm happy with how the flowers look, I think I will start gluing the parts together. This is the point of commitment, the moment where my choice becomes real, and I take my art glitter glue and I press the layers gently hold them for a second and then set the flower aside. There's a quiet satisfaction in that. Not a big sense of accomplishment, just a calm, yeah, that's right. So I move then onto the next flower and then the next. And the rhythm settles in, like assembling, adjusting, gluing, pausing. And I notice how much I enjoy this repetition. It's engaging without being demanding, like each flower asks for my attention, but not for perfection. So by the time I've assembled a few, I can see them as a group. They feel whimsical, light-hearted, a little joyful, and I catch myself smiling at them. And that feels important too. Noticing my enjoyment as it happens, rather than only afterwards, once I'm done. This is one of the reasons I love making pages like this. They don't rush towards meaning. They allow pleasure to exist on its own. So, as the last flowers are glued together, they feel ready. Not finished in the sense of done, but finished enough to move into the next part of the process. From here, I will start turning them over and adding something more personal, something quieter, something brittle. But for now, I let myself enjoy this moment. A table full of playful handmade flowers, assembled slowly, one at a time. And as I turn each flower over, this is where the page becomes very personal for me. I'm writing a small Valentine message to myself on the back of every flower. Just a sentence a time, the kind of thing I would naturally write to someone I love. And as I'm doing this, I'm very aware of how easily these words come to us when they are meant for someone else. How readily we offer appreciation, devotion, reassurance, and tenderness. We don't usually hesitate with these sentences when they are going outwards. So I'm gently turning that around here, not instead of loving others, but alongside it. I'm asking myself, what are the words I give so freely, and what are the words I most long to hear? And I want to be really clear about this part. This isn't about replacing connection with the people in our lives. It's not about doing everything on our own. It's about remembering that the care we offer outward can also be practiced inward. That the love we are capable of giving doesn't suddenly disappear when we turn it towards ourselves. In my work as a psychotherapist, I see this longing so often. People are generous, attentive, devoted, and at the same time, they are quietly waiting to be met in the same way. This feels like a small, gentle way of doing that. Not all at once, not perfectly, just one sentence at a time. And as I go through the flowers, there's a sense of having given something important a place to land. From here, the page will come together more visually. But this part, this quiet writing on the back of each flower, feels like the heart of this spread today. A reminder that the love we gave so freely is also something we are allowed to receive from ourselves. So now I'm turning this into a double page. I'm cutting down this clear L pocket and I will sew it in straight into my junk journal planner. It's one of those practical steps that changes how the whole page will be used. I've always loved working with transparent elements like this. They don't hide anything, they just hold. You can still see what's there. You can still move things around. Nothing gets looked in. And because my junk journal planner is in a traveler's notebook style, it's very easy for me to remove the pages that get the clear pockets and take them over to my sewing machine. One clear pocket on the left, one clear pocket on the right. So, as my sewing machine starts running, there's that familiar steady sound. I guide the paper through slowly, making sure the pockets sit where I want them to. This part feels very relaxed to me, sitting here with a cup of tea, hands busy, mind free to wander a little. And while I'm stitching, I keep thinking about how Valentine's Day can stir things up, even when life is full, even when love is present. It has a way of touching old memories, hopes and longings, sometimes disappointments we didn't realize were still there. And I think that's normal. This day shines a light on connection, and whenever that happens, we tend to feel more than one thing at once. That's part of why I like pages like this. They don't ask you to resolve anything. They don't tell you how you should feel. They just give those feelings somewhere to sit. So I'm tucking these 2 pages back into my February signature. As I said, very easy, because the elastic band, I can just lift up the other pages and gently slide it back in. So now I can start tucking in the flowers one by one. I'm careful but not precious with this. I want them to feel secure but still free to move. I like knowing I can take them out again, turn them over, read the messages, rearrange them, come back to them another day. So when I look at it now, it doesn't feel like a statement, it feels like a pause in my planner. A page you might linger on for a moment before turning to the next one. And that's really all this is meant to be. Not a solution, not a lesson, just a gentle companion. If Valentine's Day steers something for you this year, I hope you can be kind with yourself about that, however it shows up. Maybe this page gives you an idea, or maybe it's just a company while you sit with your own thoughts. Thank you for spending this time with me, for crafting along in your own way, and for letting playfulness and care have a little space today. Bye for now.